Imagine a fleet larger than anything the world had ever seen, blotting out the horizon. Tens of thousands of Mongol warriors, the most feared conquerors on Earth, have come to crush your homeland. Your samurai fight with desperate courage, but they're outnumbered and outmatched. All hope seems lost, and then the sky turns black. That's the legendary story of the Kamikaze, the divine wind that saved Japan. But it's just one of the countless shocking truths hidden beneath the surface of a nation we think we know. From ancient empires and forbidden religions to revolutions that changed the world overnight, the real history of Japan is far more brutal, strange, and mind-blowing than you might expect. Forget cherry blossoms and bullet trains. Today, we're uncovering 25 facts about Japan that will completely change how you see this island nation. Fact 1. The world's oldest dynasty. While other empires have risen and fallen, Japan's monarchy has endured. The Imperial House of Japan is the oldest continuous hereditary monarchy in the world. According to ancient chronicles, the dynasty traces its origins back to 660 BCE with the legendary first monarch, Emperor Jimmu. While modern historians agree that the early emperors are part of a national myth, the recorded line is still impossibly ancient. Today's emperor is part of this incredible, unbroken lineage, a symbolic link to a past no other royal house can claim. Fact 2. A 38,000-year-old history. When you think of Japanese history, you probably picture samurai and shoguns. But the human story here is far, far older. Archaeological evidence shows that the first inhabitants arrived in the Japanese archipelago over 38,000 years ago during the Paleolithic period. These early people were hunter-gatherers, pursuing massive prehistoric animals like the Nauman's elephant long before the idea of Japan even existed. Fact 3. Born from tectonic fire. Japan isn't just one island. It's a sprawling archipelago of nearly 7,000 islands. This vast chain was created by incredible geological violence. The land that would become Japan was once attached to the Asian continent, but was ripped away by intense tectonic activity. This process, which kicked off somewhere between 15 and 26 million years ago, also carved out the Sea of Japan. Fact 4. A fusion of ancient cultures. Ancient Japan was the site of a massive cultural merger. The original inhabitants, known as the Jomon, were a complex hunter-gatherer society, but around the 3rd century BCE, they were joined by the Yayoi people, migrants from the continent who brought revolutionary technologies like wet rice farming and iron tools. This incredible fusion of cultures laid the genetic and cultural foundation for modern Japan. Fact 5. Tombs to rival the pyramids. Between the 3rd and 6th centuries, Japan's ruling class built enormous keyhole-shaped tombs called kofun. The biggest one, the Daisenryo Kofun, is an absolutely staggering 486 meters long and is considered one of the largest burial mounds on the planet by volume, a testament to the immense power these ancient rulers wielded. Fact 6. Temples built by foreign hands. You might think of Buddhism as quintessentially Japanese, but get this, its first great temples were actually built with help from abroad. In 593, Prince Shotoku, a major supporter of the new religion, invited 3 master carpenters from the Korean kingdom of Baekje to construct Shitenoji in Osaka. This temple is celebrated as Japan's first state-sponsored Buddhist temple, highlighting the deep influence of Korean and Chinese culture on early Japanese architecture. Fact 7. The world's first novel was written by a woman. Way back in the early 11th century, a Japanese woman was busy inventing the novel. Around the year 1010, a lady-in-waiting named Murasaki Shikibu wrote The Tale of Genji, a sprawling story about the life and romances of a prince. With its deep psychological insight and rich character development, it's widely considered to be the world's very first novel. Fact 8. A capital city made in China. In the 8th century, Japan's ambition was so great that it modeled its new capital directly on the most powerful city in Asia. In 710, the court built Heijōkyō, modern-day Nara, as a planned city based on the grid layout of Chang'an, the capital of China's mighty Tang dynasty. It was a clear sign of just how much Japan was soaking up Chinese culture, from government bureaucracy to Buddhist philosophy. Fact 9. A medieval megacity. During the Kamakura shogunate, which began in 1185, the city of Kamakura became the political heart of Japan. At its peak, its population swelled to a staggering size. While medieval population figures are notoriously tricky, some estimates suggest Kamakura may have been home to as many as 200,000 people. If true, that would have made it one of the largest cities on the planet at the time, rivaling major centers in Europe and Asia. Fact 10. Saved by the divine wind. In 1274 and again in 1281, the Mongol Emperor Kublai Khan sent massive invasion fleets to conquer Japan. Traditional accounts describe a colossal force in the second invasion, with some estimates claiming as many as 140,000 men on over 4,000 ships. The Japanese samurai were hopelessly outnumbered, but both times a ferocious typhoon slammed into the Mongol fleets, sinking thousands of ships and drowning tens of thousands of warriors. The Japanese called these storms Kamikaze, or divine wind, creating a powerful national myth that the gods themselves protected Japan. Fact 11. A religious revolution for the people. For a long time, the most complex forms of Buddhism were really only accessible to the elites. But in the 12th and 13th centuries, that all changed. Revolutionary teachers like Honen and Nichiren started promoting simpler, more direct forms of faith. They taught practices that were accessible to everyone, not just educated monks and nobles. This democratization of religion allowed Buddhism to spread to every level of Japanese society. Fact 12. A three-layered writing system. The Japanese writing system is a fascinating historical puzzle. It began by importing Chinese characters, known as kanji, around the 5th century. Over time, the Japanese developed their own two phonetic scripts, the curvy hiragana and the angular katakana, to better fit their own language. Today, all three scripts are used together, sometimes all in the same sentence, creating what has to be one of the most complex and fascinating writing systems in use today. Before we get to our next fact, which is all about Japan, literally closing its doors to the world for over 200 years. If you're enjoying this trip through Japan's hidden history, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming up next. Fact 13. 200 years of isolation. From the 1630s to the mid-1850s, Japan deliberately slammed its doors on the world. Under a policy known as sakoku, or chained country, most foreign contact was cut off, and leaving the country was punishable by death. The goal was to stamp out the influence of Christian missionaries. But this wasn't total isolation. Through a single port in Nagasaki, the Japanese maintained a controlled connection with Dutch and Chinese traders, allowing Western knowledge, or rangaku, to filter in. Still, after 2 centuries, Japan found itself lagging behind the West's industrial and military might. Fact 14. The hidden Christians. Christianity, introduced by Jesuit missionary Francis Xavier in 1549, spread rapidly at first. But Japan's rulers quickly grew suspicious of its power. In 1597, 26 Christians were crucified in Nagasaki as a brutal warning. By the mid-17th century, the faith was forced completely underground, surviving only in secret communities of hidden Christians who disguised their faith for over 250 years. Fact 15. The invincible white heron. Japanese castles are masterpieces of military engineering, and none is more famous than Himeji Castle. Known as the White Heron Castle for its brilliant white exterior, this 17th century fortress has miraculously never been destroyed by war, earthquake, or fire. It stands today as a perfectly preserved masterpiece of Japan's golden age of castle building. Fact 16. The world's oldest wooden buildings. In the city of Nara, the Horyuji Temple complex contains buildings that have defied time. First built in the 7th century, its main hall and 5-story pagoda are believed to be the oldest surviving wooden buildings on the entire planet. They are a direct link to the dawn of Buddhism in Japan. Fact 17. The imperial capitals of culture. The cities of Kyoto and Nara are like living museums. For over 1,000 years, from 794 on, Kyoto was the glittering imperial capital, and today it's packed with an incredible 17 different UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Nara, the capital before that, preserves 8 major historical monuments, including the Todaiji Temple with its giant Buddha statue. Fact 18. The capitals of the samurai. But here's the twist. While the emperors reigned in Kyoto, the real power for almost 700 years was held by military dictators, the shoguns. The culture we associate with the samurai was forged in their administrative capitals, first in Kamakura from 1192 and later in Edo, modern-day Tokyo. The temples and great Buddha statue of Kamakura remain as physical relics of this medieval warrior culture. Fact 19. Villages lost in time. Hidden in the mountains of central Japan, the villages of Shirakawa-go and Gokayama look like they're frozen in time. They are famous for their traditional gassho-zukuri farmhouses, which have steep, thatched roofs designed to withstand heavy snow. Some of these houses are over 400 years old, offering a stunning glimpse into what rural life was like centuries ago. Fact 20. The silver mine that changed the world. In the 16th and 17th centuries, one mine in Japan had a massive impact on the world economy. At its peak, the Iwami Ginzan silver mine produced such an enormous quantity of high-quality silver that some historians believe it may have accounted for a huge portion of all the silver circulating in the world at the time. This silver flowed through global trade networks, connecting Japan with China, Korea, and European merchants. Fact 21. A revolution in fast forward. In 1868, the age of the samurai came to a sudden, dramatic end. The Meiji Restoration overthrew the feudal government and restored power to the emperor. What followed was one of the most rapid modernizations in history. The new government abolished the class system, created a modern military, and sprinted to build railways and telegraphs, catapulting Japan from an isolated feudal society into a modern industrial power in just a few decades. Fact 22. Forging an industrial empire. Dozens of sites across Japan are now protected by UNESCO as monuments to its incredible industrial rise. These locations, from shipyards and steel mills to coal mines, tell the story of the country's breakneck journey into the industrial age during the late 19th century. They show how Japan mastered Western technology to build the heavy industry it needed to become a world power. Fact 23. The power of silk. One of the first symbols of Japan's new industrial might was the Tomioka silk mill, established in 1872. It was a model factory that used modern French-designed machinery to mass-produce high-quality raw silk. This single factory was a cornerstone of Japan's economic transformation, helping turn the nation into the world's leading exporter of raw silk and a major player in the global market. Fact 24. The Sacred Mountain. Mount Fuji is more than just Japan's tallest peak. It's a sacred place and a centuries-old source of artistic inspiration. Its perfect volcanic cone has been a central subject in Japanese art for generations, most famously in the woodblock prints of artists like Hokusai. UNESCO recognizes it not just as a natural wonder, but as a site of profound cultural and religious importance. Fact 25. A moment frozen in time. In the heart of Hiroshima stands a single skeletal ruin. the atomic bomb dome. It was one of the only structures left standing near the blast's hypocenter in 1945. Preserved exactly as it was after the bombing, the dome was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996. Today, it stands as a haunting memorial to the horrifying power of nuclear weapons and a universal plea for peace. From a dynasty that claims to be the oldest on Earth to the atomic dawn of a new age, Japan's history is an incredible saga of isolation and influence, tradition and violent transformation. These stories are etched into its ancient temples, its invincible castles, and the very ground of its thousands of islands. What we see today is just the latest chapter in a story that began tens of thousands of years ago. Which of these facts shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And for more journeys into the untold stories of our world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.